Hello, good evening, and welcome to Camnet Television News. My name is Geoffrey to present the news. Our top stories in the news tonight: another murder incident recorded in LUSAKA'S KANYAMA compound. Former PF boss Davis MWILA nabbed by the Drug Enforcement Commission. Former Defense Minister MWAMBA fails to appear before the court. And in international news, Sudan's civilian bloc rejects army offer and urges more protests. And in sports news, ZASPOFA-PATRON condemns reports on sports associations taking advantage of government. Hello again, another news in detail. An unidentified man in Lusaka's Chivolia compound in Kanyama constituency, believed to be between the ages of 20 and 26, has been hacked to death by unknown people in the early hours of Wednesday morning. In an interview with Camnet News, the residents have accused the police of neglecting the area, stating that they have not been conducting night patrols to prevent such incidents. Meanwhile, Harry Mwanga Kumbula Ward 12 Councillor Mr. Aaron Mwanza reveals that all 5 police posts in Chivolia compound do not have patrol vehicles. Zipporah Mushala has more in this report.
I'm here in Lusaka's Chivolia compound, which is mainly known for criminal activities. These criminal activities have been attributed to the high drug and alcohol abuse here in this community, which has mainly been caused by the lack of productive activities among the youths. Now, just here where we're standing, the body of a man suspected to be around 26 years old was found hacked to death this morning. It is suspected that the man was hacked to death in the early hours of Wednesday morning. Now, this has happened within just a space of 2 days when Camnet TV carried a similar story just here in Chivolia compound, where the body of a man who has not yet been identified was found in an incomplete building. We talked to some eyewitnesses who have expressed concern about the security situation here in the area.
Wamucheka pakati kumatako paparikati maninga hapa na sapato alibi.
Mnyamata vampaya vamcheka na maronda. After kuona so naenda ku polisi kuchita ripoti polisi na polisi babwera bayangana ngala mpata kuchipopa pano amyangana wa mkopa msnapi futina kutumira ba in charge na kubwera kumtenga.
Others state that most of the police patrols are conducted during daytime and instead of the nighttime when they're needed the most.
Polisi wakuno waikeko nzeru antu nisoche every time mkaenda pa polisi mwende mtengo wa polisi olo kwa shtika problem manpower palibe walipoche wabili but kuseni ndepa nwapeze kawapita mogwira abantu wanwazipitia na tumabagi but kutuwa seyenze nshito yao wa polisi siwafuna tavutika kuno kulodi please wa polisi waikeko nzeru maagala 19 nshiyayamba
ipa uyu mtu sanampae bwino kuno kwa tutima kangiwa kugona 19 hours nshibantu ayamba kwambo kumenya 18 hours ufunga cha uyopa
sana febwino olonya masimu ngaji mwanje bamuchencha ula kuyipa bakapukula kubapeza bali kuseni.
We also spoke to the Ward Development Committee Chairperson, Mr. Gift Nswana, who has actually expressed concern over the low staffing levels at the police posts here in Chibolya.
Yes, we have a neighborhood watch, but we don't have enough manpower from the police.
We also spoke to the area councillor, Harimanga Nkumbula Ward 12 councillor, Mr. Aaron Mwanza.
We are calling for other stakeholders to come on board and assist us with that, with the transportation. You can imagine the all police posts that we have here. We have enough, at least 5 of them. We don't have even a single duty vehicle.
We have also reached out to the Zambia police to ask if there are any plans to actually be conducting random searches in people's houses to actually search for these weapons. There has been a lot of talk from different stakeholders actually calling for the demolition of Chibolya compound. Others, however, have been stating that demolishing Chibolya is not the solution, but actually rehabilitation centers should actually be constructed here because they say there is need for a mindset change instead of demolishing the whole compound. We will continue to monitor the situation in Chibolya compound to see how things unfold here and if there will be a permanent solution to Chibolya compound, which has remained notorious for a long time. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Former Minister of Home Affairs under the Patriotic Front PF administration, Stephen Kampyongo, says there is need to enhance capacity building in the Zambian police to be able to deal with diverse criminal matters. In an interview, the former Home Affairs Minister says while the police have the necessary tools to carry out their work, regular capacity building is needed. He was speaking in reference to the case of the allegedly abducted 22-year-old mobile money booth attendant, Pamela Chisumpa, who has not yet been traced since her disappearance in April 2026.
Every citizen is concerned and they would want to see this matter concluded. Relieving as it may be to hear that police have established contact with the victim in captivity until she's seen. Until she's seen to say she's alive, then the matter will be brought to conclusion. And mind you, they are yet to charge anyone for abduction. They have only charged those that have bought gadgets from her, which were stolen from her. But the key issue is to find those that grabbed those items directly from the victim. Every profession requires people to be recapacitated, refresher courses, and I think the IG found his predecessor doing that. Officers being sent for the training. It's important to continue sharpening them in terms of how they do their work. So that's the only solution.
Small-scale business owners in Lusaka have expressed concern that the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise has not indicated a clear roadmap on how it intends to aid the growth of small businesses in the country. Those interviewed by Camnet TV News note that there has been no policy framework and strategic plans to indicate how the ministry is administering affairs of small and medium business enterprises. Speaking to Camnet TV, Lovewell Ndotolo notes that the government should sensitize people on the access to empowerment. Meanwhile, the Minister of Small and Medium Enterprises, Elias Mubanga, says the ministry exists in order to support the growth of SMEs. Hence, favorable policies can only be set if the ministry is aware of sector challenges. More in this following report.
It is estimated that about 97% of businesses in Zambia account for the small and medium enterprises, both in the formal and the informal sector. However, only a small portion is occupied by the formal sector, hence making the informal sector as the largest employer in the country. Despite this being the case, both the formal and the informal contribute to the growth of the GDP by creating opportunities for future growth and the diversification of the economy. However, with the introduction of the Small and Medium Enterprises Ministry by the UPND administration to oversee the affairs of the sector, very little has been done. Speaking to Camnet TV, a small-scale business owner in Lusaka, Lavondo Tolo, says government should consider sensitizing people on how they can acquire services from the ministry, adding that they face many challenges in the sector but have nowhere to report to.
The ministry in charge of the small-scale businesses. But the biggest problem we're having is that most of the people, they've only heard it, but they don't know even where to find it. They don't even know the procedure on how to apply for that help that we need in the business today as small-scale business. So what is needed is to sensitize people. Exactly what are they supposed to do? What are the requirements needed? In what groups are they supposed to form in order for the government to be able to assist them?
Others say their businesses have the potential to contribute positively to the growth of the economy if they are given empowerment.
Business at least maybe shop or place for better place because the street so I can loans. I can change as a shop or fruits we can change at least or to change.
Meanwhile, the Minister for Small and Medium Enterprises, Mr. Elias Muvanga, says business owners should take responsibility and make consultations with the ministry to ensure that their challenges are met.
People must also take responsibility. The business houses, they must take responsibility. For example, I am importing, let's say, the pesticides from Saudi Arabia or from Zimbabwe or from somewhere else. I get to the border, I spent, let's say, $5. Then at the border, they are also charging me a tax, import tax, $5. It is important for them to say, no, this is too high. They must either write or come to the ministry and say, this is what is going on. Then the ministry will take it up and engage, the line ministry. So they must take responsibility. Business houses should take responsibility. As we are here for policy direction, we are here to make sure that the environment to do business is good. But how do we know? It's by them coming forward, chat with the Minister of SME and say, this is our issue.
And an economist, Kelvin Chisanga, says small and medium businesses have significantly grown in Zambia owing to the favorable business environment.
The increasing of participation by most of the small-scale business owners or businesses because there has been a very good atmosphere that has been created so far in terms of economic participation. And obviously we are coming from, in terms of economic condition, we are coming from a point where much of what we actually used to see was more of organized system of business, but now we have seen that there is political calmness that has also triggered and a few other compounding cases.
Messi Chanika reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Over 10 house owners in Lusaka's Emersdale Zambia Railways area in Matero constituency have had their land allegedly encroached by some people of foreign origin who have begun erecting structures in front of their plots. In an interview with Camnet TV News, Ruth Chongo, who is one of the affected residents, explains that her father was a former Zambia Railways worker and he, along with others, bought the land, but that they have been facing challenges in acquiring title deeds. They have since called on the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, as well as the Matero constituency member of Parliament, Miles Sampa, to come to their aid before they are displaced. More in this report.
Land allocation in Zambia has to date remained one of the areas with irregularities, as reports of colliding title deeds or illegal allocation of plots have been ongoing for years. This is a place known as Zambia Railways in Emersdale residential area in Lusaka, where about 10 families are in danger of being displaced, as nationals of foreign origin have allegedly begun erecting structures on their front yards. In an interview, one of the affected, Ruth Chongo, narrates that her father, who was a former Zambia Railways worker, bought the land along with about 9 other people, but says they have been trying to get title deeds for the land since 1999, but in vain. They have, however, wondered how it is that the said nationals of foreign origin were given title deeds for the land in 2021, when the land already has sitting tenants.
Minister of Local Government, we have even written to the, which other office have we written? To our MP. So we've written all those letters and they have been stamped. So we've been waiting for a response for 7 months, you can imagine. Since last year when this man came, he built this war fence. We had built our war fence here. He pulled it down, claiming that he has a title. If you people have a title, bring it here so that you claim ownership. But we've been waiting from the Zambia Railways to come here and give us our titles. When we go to Zambia Railways, they tell us this land has a caveat. But how come a land that has a caveat, an Indian man comes from India there to come and acquire a title, while us Zambians are still here waiting for the title?
This has resulted in wrangles, as they say that some of the structures were demolished by the said nationals of foreign origin.
Tipempa, ba Minister of Lands, ba Mayor, ba MP, ba Matelo, bakabwere kuno. Chukwa ba MP ba Matelo, inkani ba iziba. Inamba ni kudala bembe tinabafikirapo no bafikirapo ku office kwawo. So ba iziba na leta banatenga ba MP ba ku Matelo. Bonse ba DC bafunika kubwela bakaone kuno chamene chichitika kuno chifukwa kuno tavutika long time kuno nchamene tifuna ba president na bembe bakagwepo.
The sewer line passes here, and all the sewer pipes from these houses pass here, just in the middle of the plot, which is this one. Even there is the same. Even there is the same. It passes in the middle. So how can a person come and build on top of the sewer? And not only that, this place is too small. You can't make any developments on this place. If you want a house, you can't build a house on a small place like this.
Batuwese shenani kane bakansule taito ya kwa mwenye tete afume ku India esha tupokolole fye kalandi akanonu wako tukwete mumino fwe bene bachalo nishi government ya Zambia nishi fyo ile chitani finch ifo tete tuye ku India kulia tuye payadi ya kwa mwenye tuambie kukula bushe kuti batuleka tete batuleke iyo.
The complainants have called on the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to urgently solve the matter, stating that Zambians should not be left destitute in their own country. The question that desperately begs a response is whether the trend of alleged land illegalities will be allowed to continue going on, with no sign of any aggressive approach from the relevant authorities to correct the situation permanently. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Opposition National Democratic Congress leader Saboy MWILA has accused Home Affairs Permanent Secretary Joseph Akafumba of being behind the change of names of the party's office bearers at the Registrar of Societies. Speaking to the media, Ms. MWILA says Mr. Akafumba was strategically positioned at the ministry by President Hakainde Hichilema so that he can destabilize the opposition political parties in the country. She states that Mr. Akafumba has no say in the matters that affect the NDC party and further vowed to legally deal with political issues.
Most important thing, let him be in an office. Yeah. Okay, let him stay away from the NDC matters. But he has continued trying to cause confusion. And like we said also, this was a wrong ministry to put Mr. Akafumba. And the reason why President HH put Mr. Akafumba is for matters like this. They brought him here to cause confusion in the political parties, because President HH and the UPND, they are not Democrats. They don't like democracy. They want stooges. They want people that can only sing their songs. They want even political parties to be praise singers for them. But it shouldn't happen like that. I've said this several times to say in other countries, they pay the opposition. Go to the UK right now. They pay the opposition to be the opposition so that they give that critical voice. Because you need critical voices, alternative voices to develop a country. You don't need one voice. So you want now to use political power to manipulate things here so that you prop up your stooges who be lying that they're NDC and they start singing praises. I'm sure some of you saw when they had that press conference, the first thing they said the alliance is strong and active and it's alive and whatever. No, we are the real NDC. And as NDC, we repeat, we are not in an alliance with the UPND.
Exactly.
We are not alliance with the UPND. We stand on our own. And if the UPND went an alliance with anybody, even the NDC, so they should pass if they want. They know who to go if they want to go to the NDC. You know, but because they know what our answer is going to be, you know, whether they even scared to pass. At the end of the day, the UPND should do the right things, and this to us, this is fraud. Okay? This is fraud. This is not politics. This is fraud. No wonder now we shall not handle this matter politically. We're going to handle this matter legally. So that
the Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, has charged and arrested former Patriotic Front Secretary General Davis MWILA for being in possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime. And lawyers representing Mr. MWILA confirmed with the media shortly after their client's release that he was being questioned in connection with the source of campaign funds the party used during the 2021 elections. Meanwhile, Mr. MWILA, who has been released on bond by the DEC, also appeared before a joint investigations team for another interrogation at the Ministry of Home Affairs. More in this report.
Pounced on by law enforcement agencies, former Opposition Patriotic Front Secretary General Davis MWILA has not been spared, as he has also joined the queue of those being summoned and arrested. With a walk of confidence, Mr. MWILA was charged and arrested for being in possession of property reasonably suspected of being proceeds of crime when he appeared for questioning before the Drug Enforcement Commission. Wednesday morning, Mr. MWILA's legal counsel confirmed the development to the media.
Sometime in 2017, the government introduced what was termed as a political party bill. That political party bill was, among others, intended to make provision for political parties to disclose their source of funds on an annual basis. So based on my recollection, I think it was section 40 of that bill. That bill collapsed. Why it collapsed, I believe my guess is as good as yours. So fast forward, we find ourselves in a situation where the commission has created a predicament for itself. So after we went to court regarding the source of funds, they come up with the charge of being in possession of what they term as a proceeds of crime, which is obviously an afterthought.
Earlier this year, the Patriotic Front Party had rushed to the Lusaka High Court, seeking the court's intervention to stop the Drug Enforcement Commission from further intimidating and illegally questioning them so that they can disclose their source of campaign funds in the just ended 12 August 2021 general elections. The party wanted the court to determine whether the Drug Enforcement Commission has got the constitutional or statutory mandate to compel it to disclose its source of funding used in the campaigns. And speaking to the media earlier after his release on bond, Mr. MWILA said the party will not disclose the source of the election campaign funds.
No one will disclose the source of funding because as a political party we are not obliged. They can go to heaven, wherever they will go will not disclose. Because this is abuse of the law. Are they investigating UPND, where they got the money, where they got the vehicles? Are they investigating Socialist Party? So they are contradicting themselves. So it will not go anywhere. Yes. We are very strong and they can't intimidate us.
As if the questioning before the Drug Enforcement Commission was not enough, Mr. MWILA was again summoned to appear before a joint investigation team at the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, where a statement was recorded in relation to deal with a land issue allegedly believed to belong to the Zambia National Service. Meanwhile, former Lands Minister Jean Kapata also appeared before the said joint investigation team in relation to deal with the said allegedly land. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
PEACEMAKERS Zambia Limited and 4 others have appeared before the Lusaka Magistrate Court for allegedly being in possession of property worth over 89 million kwacha, property suspected to be proceeds of crime. This is in a matter in which PEACEMAKERS Zambia Limited, Peter Malao, Emmanuel Mugala, Edson Mugala and Luck Simbeya are facing 25 counts of corruption-related charges, among them being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, giving false statements to the Ministry of Local Government, obtaining pecuniary advantage, among others. Allegations in some of the counts are that the accused were in possession of property valued at 7.6 million kwacha, among other figures believed to have been corruptly gained. Further allegations are that PEACEMAKERS Zambia Limited on dates 20th March 2018 and 22nd April 2021 was in possession of a Hoa Sino truck, Mitsubishi, Toyota Dyna, among other trucks valued at 7,856,949 kwacha. The accused are set to take plea on the 28th of July 2022. The Lusaka High Court has removed Republican President Hakainde Hichilema from the case. He and 5 others sued the state for compensation over unlawful prosecution on treason charges. According to a consent order before court, Judge Pixie Yangailo has wholly discontinued proceedings in respect of President Hakainde Hichilema, who is among the 6 plaintiffs in the case. This is in a case then as Opposition United Party for National Development President Mr. Hakainde Hichilema and 5 others sued the state for compensation over false imprisonment on treason charges on allegation of overtaking then President Edgar Lungu's motorcade in 2017. Miriam Kayemba reports.
The High Court in Lusaka has discontinued the action that Republican President Hakainde Hichilema had last year commenced against the state for unlawful prosecution. Recently, President Hakainde Hichilema applied that proceedings in his respect be stayed on ground that he could not pursue this action against the state pursuant to the provision of Article 98(2) of the Constitution, as he is holding the office of President. Meanwhile, the court will still proceed to hear 5 other plaintiffs that had jointly sued the Attorney General with President Hichilema. The 5 other plaintiffs include Hamson Dahamaleka, an accountant, Lyson Mulanduba, Prestoria Salowa, both farmers, Wallace Chakawa and Mulia Achinda, who are businessmen. Last year, then as Opposition United Party for National Development President, Mr. Hichilema and 5 others sued the state for compensation over false imprisonment on treason charges. During the 2017 Komboka ceremony, Mr. Hichilema and 5 others were arrested and charged with treason for allegedly overtaking and then President Edgar Lungu's motorcade on the Mulungu Road in Western Province. It was alleged that the 6 attempted to overthrow a legitimately elected government of Mr. Lungu. But the case against Mr. Hichilema and others was later discontinued through a nolle prosequi, and all the accused persons were set free after being detained for 127 days. Miriam Kayemba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Former Defense Minister Geoffrey MWAMBA Wednesday failed to appear before the court over his corruption-related charges, as he is reportedly to be unwell and admitted at Midland Hospital. This morning, Mr. MWAMBA was scheduled to take plea in the 24 counts he is facing, following the court's order that he should be tried separately and not jointly charged with another accused person. Mr. MWAMBA, a member of the Opposition Patriotic Front, is facing 24 counts of being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime and conflict of interest involving millions of kwacha and thousands of dollars, respectively. Here is a report.
He failed to appear before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court Wednesday morning, as the court was informed that he is unwell and currently admitted at Midlands Hospital. Former Defense Minister Geoffrey MWAMBA is said to be experiencing chest pain. This is according to information given to the court by his surety. The outspoken Opposition Patriotic Front member, who is currently facing 24 counts of money laundering, concealing property suspected to be proceeds of crime, among other charges, was scheduled this morning to appear before the courts of law for his possible plea. However, when the matter was called, his defense counsel Bonaventure Mutale informed Magistrate Ngobola that the accused was unable to make it before court, thereby applying that the case be adjourned to a later date. Recently arrested by the Anti-Corruption Commission, Mr. MWAMBA is accused of being in possession of the said property, of being proceeds of crime and conflict of interest involving millions of kwachas and thousands of dollars, respectively. He is said to have committed the offences the time he was then Defence Minister, and it is alleged that between 2012 and 2013 he failed to disclose his interest in writing of the 3 Zambia Army contracts and 5 Zambia Air Force contracts that were awarded Cozon Global Limited by the Ministry of Defense. It is alleged that the accused person had interest in the same company. Among the 24 counts, the 8 counts that Mr. MWAMBA is facing before court of conflict of interest are contrary to Section 28 as read with subsection 3 of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012. The matter comes up on the 8th of July, 2022. Miriam Kayemba Reporting for Camnet TV News.
You're watching Camnet TV. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after this break.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities has reminded members of the public, especially persons with disabilities, that owning the ZAPID identity card does not automatically qualify someone to be a beneficiary of social cash transfer. In an exclusive interview with Camnet News, the agency's acting Director General, Nicholas Goma, notes that social cash transfer targets households that are vulnerable. He has since urged people living with disabilities to register with the Department of Social Welfare if they are to benefit from the social cash transfer scheme. More in the following report.
Drama characterized the distribution of social cash transfer allocations in Lusaka's KANYAMA constituency on the 26th of June 2022, as most beneficiaries were not satisfied in the manner in which the resources were being distributed by the social welfare officers under the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services. Camnet TV was on the ground to establish some contributing factors that might have led to the controversial drama.
I cannot say anything, I'm just a PPM. I can't say anything, I'm just a PPM. You can go see Sandra at the district social welfare office.
In our quest for answers, it was established that most people did not understand the procedure of acquiring the funds. However, on the 28th of June 2022, the Republican Vice President Mtalena Lumango revealed that government would follow up the controversial stories.
A case where a person that is truly vulnerable and deserved to be on this program and has been removed for some reason. That is why, Honorable, in my statement I said the ministry needs feedback in real time. You will see that there are many points at which you could help those members to raise their complaints. Because even if there was a revision in that, if people are left out that deserve, then there is need to follow it up.
In still trying to find the right answers, Camnet TV engaged the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disability, who disclosed that it is not automatic for people living with disabilities that are registered with ZAPID to be on social cash transfer program. Nicholas Goma is ZAPID Acting Director General.
Back to the point to say, does one, by virtue of registering with ZAPID, qualify for cash transfer? No. The answer is no. That is not an automatic qualifier to say they are supposed to be on the social cash transfer. But what one can do, if they still feel that they are supposed to be targeted under cash transfer, the social welfare department is available throughout on that one, and they can actually do what we call assessment. And it's not individual assessment, they will have to assess the entire household. Does the household qualify? Is it incapacitated? Does it meet the other targeting criteria? If it does, well and good. And then if indeed in that household there's even that member with a disability, then instead of them giving them the irregular amount, they'll give them double what every other household is receiving.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Motorists along MWAMBA Road are calling for the removal of pavers that demarcate the four-lane road. The motorists say the current pavers have no reflectors and cannot be seen, especially at night. More in the following report.
In 2015, a Chinese construction company, Avic International, was contracted to do the MWAMBA Road expansion project, and the works were completed late 2019. A check by Camnet News Wednesday 2022 found a section of the pavements disaligned from their original position as they were hit into by motor vehicles. Speaking to Camnet News, the motorists say the pavements should have been cemented to the ground like other pavements on other roads, and are calling on the Road Development Agency to remove the pavements as they pose a danger to motorists due to them not being efficient. And Liswaniso Naonge says the pavements should be removed immediately.
Maningi so ikabwera ngati ni usiku kapele motoka yake uja mundu si achamusha light so maana mushi tubiona mushe ngaile ma accident ni jana pakisa maningi so ufunika kulanga napo ama road ndiye chetu kulanga napo ati ma accident not akazipeze kama daily achitika daily kufaka po vitali ati akapita wopita pawereke bwino.
Kayanga Mitonda also says relevant authorities should quickly look into the matter to help bring sanity on the road, as the said pavers at night pose a threat to motorists due to lack of proper reflective material on the pavers.
Diapa wanafaka maningi vifupi so funika wafaka ko vitali che jako kweva ati wafaka pona tumasheti toonesa vandu wakapita baja usiku pa mamotoka hapo. Accident ye monga MWAMBA Road ya mashitika hatu hapo. Sikuwaza vamene hivi.
Efforts to get a comment from RDA on the matter proved futile by broadcast time as the phone went unanswered. Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Ex-MWILA secondary school pupils have come to the aid of their former school by purchasing of 10,000 blocks for an ongoing construction project at the school.
MWILA Secondary School Deputy Head Teacher Mr. Luimba has urged all members of the ex-MWA's student alumni to continue helping the school in whatever way they possibly can. Speaking to Camnet News, when former MWILA Secondary School pupils paid a courtesy visit at the school, the deputy head teacher thanked the ex-MWA's alumni for their donation towards the procurement of 10,000 blocks that will be used to fence the school, as members of the public have started encroaching on the school property.
We have modeled about 10,000 blocks. We need about 70,000 blocks to finish our project of fencing our school. So out of 70,000, we have modeled 10,000 blocks. Thank you so much to the ex-MWA's for the support, and we still look forward for your support.
And the school's head girl told Camnet News that the school is not facing many challenges apart from electricity cuts, as it affects their studies.
I wouldn't want to talk about the challenges that I face. Looking at it at the school level, I would say that mostly the whole school might face some challenges in terms of studying, like days when there is no power, Yeah, but then the school administrators will always come in to use the generator.
Meanwhile, the ex-MWA's alumni chairperson says he will submit all the challenges the school has brought forth to the executive, and the alumni will continue partnering with the school.
Great step. It is an achievement. 10,000 blocks is not a mean achievement. So we are going to, I'll take it up with the executive, then we'll give a report to the membership so that we continue contributing. As you may be aware, even those monies that we received for the cement, all that was coming from the donations of the members, we put the monies together, even all these members. So that's why I came with him, so that when we go to the membership, we tell them that this is what is there, and we'd rather do something that we can point up, say, as an association, we partnered with the school in ensuring that the offense is felt. Because the challenge that you've given us of being, the land is being enclosed, that is a serious issue and it needs immediate attention.
The Open and Honors Day that you sponsor as ex-MWA's should continue. I'm telling you, motivating our pupils. So if you can continue even this year and the years to come, then as a school we appreciate it. Then I would also like to encourage the ex-MWA's to continue with the same spirit of making sure that the projects of the school are manned according to our expectations. So continue supporting the school.
Cherish Sibote for Camnet News in Mbala.
Iteji Member of Parliament Mutinta Twambo says communities located near national parks should be able to witness social and economic development, unlike the current case where the focus has mainly been on conserving wildlife for tourism purposes. In an interview, Mr. Twambo says these communities should be able to see an upgrade of roads, development of community facilities, upgrading of communication networks, and employment creation. He has since called for a new management system at the national parks, such as the Kafue National Park, which will also see to it that chiefs and all community-based stakeholders are fully engaged to ensure a consultative approach in the management of national parks and game reserves.
Welcome the decision that has been made to sign a lease agreement for the Kafue National Park between government and African parks. So the intention is welcome, and we are aware that the intention is meant to improve the management of the Kafue National Park. However, I would want to urge African parks to be consultative in this process, to engage the relevant stakeholders who are chiefs, engage the relevant stakeholders who are the policymakers in this process. One of the reasons why we want this, we want to ensure that the process is tension-free and the lot of stakeholders are aware of the contents of the MOU that has been signed. But more important, we are also asking for full disclosure of the contents of the memorandum of understanding that has been signed. We are aware that some of the contents are more to do with strengthening the protection of the environment and the wildlife, but there is a bigger element also of community beneficiation. And we want the community beneficiation elements to come out very open. We are aware that there are intentions to upgrade the roads, the network system, to come up with capital projects that will empower the young people. There is also a creation of 150 jobs. And these jobs want them to go to the young people and to the local people, provided they qualify. But more important, we want to see that some of the obligations that are part of this agreement, they should be fulfilled to the latter.
Watching Camnet Television News. We'll take a break. We'll be back with international and sports news after the break.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the... She has so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Welcome back. And now in international news, Sudan's main civilian bloc, Forces for Freedom and Change, FFC, rejected a proposal by the country's coup leader to make way for a civilian government as a giant ruse and urged more protests. The rejection was announced on Tuesday after a surprise move by the army on Monday to make room for civilian groups to form a new transitional government. Meanwhile, the battle against ISIL forced hundreds of thousands of Iraqis to find shelter in temporary camps. But as the government closes them down, many people are left with nothing to return to. Here's a roundup of international news.
Sudan's main civilian bloc, Forces for Freedom and Change, rejected the proposal by the country's coup leader to make way for a civilian government as a giant ruse and urged more protests. The rejection was announced on Tuesday after a surprise move by the army on Monday to make room for civilian groups to form a new transitional government. This speech is vague, full of double meanings. Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan says that he wants the military to return to their barracks, but at the same time he wants to take the civilian power to the barracks, and this is a way to reinforce his control, even more than before. So we totally refuse this proposal. We maintain that we want the end of the coup and the installation of an entirely civilian power. On the streets of Khartoum, protesters defied security forces and held firm on their makeshift barricades despite heavy fatalities late last week. The FFC has so far refused to take part in talks with military leaders. These are just words. It is Burhan who made the street explode. It was right after his speech that the whole of Khartoum exploded. The youth blocked all the streets. The people came out even more. In addition to the sit-ins in Khartoum, other sit-ins were set up in the provinces. They have not been able to agree on this for 3 years, so why would they agree overnight or after 3 or 6 months? This is a way for Burhan to stay in power forever. Protests also spread to the cities on Tuesday, including Wad Madani, 200 kilometers south of the capital, where hundreds staged the sit-in, according to witnesses.
هذه غرفة النوم، هذه الغرفة مبقيهش، وذاك المطبخ، هذا الحمام، الصالة داخل والديوانية من غير.
بال 2014 جانا داعش، تهجرنا من السعودية رحت على الموصل، ظليت سنة هناك ساكت. بعد ما السنة طلعت على سوريا، قعدت مخيم روج، ظليت 2 سنين هنا. بعد السنتين رجعت. هم مرة ثانية تهجرنا، رحت على حمام العلي، ظليت سنة. وبعدين يعني المخيمات شالوها، ما ظل مخيم، رجعت هنا. 3 سنوات صالحين قاعد. سكنت بربيعة الساعة، أجرت هذا البيت وسكن.
لو ظلين بالمخيم أحسن لنا يعني. لو ظلين بالمخيم شوية تدبر نفسك، مساعدات كذا. هسه من جينا ماكو لا شغل لا عمل، يعني ما ادري ايش تسوي الحين.
والله اخاف انا لا يصير يعني شغل ثارات شيء او احد يقتل جهالي او ما اقدر يعني ارجع اذا ما هم يقولوا لي يعني تعالي او قرية لوهين. لا بالعكس، هم اصلا الافكار هذه ما ظلت حتى بعقل احد. خلاص احنا من جينا على المخيم لحد الان ما حد افتكر بغير يعني غير شغله او كلهم مع هنا مع المجتمع ودراسات وهاي.
We now look at sports news. Zambia Sports Fans Association patron Peter Makembo has condemned the reports of some sports federations that have allegedly wanted to take advantage of Ministry of Youth and Sports and Arts goodwill by exaggerating the figures in their various budgets. Speaking to Camnet Sports, Makembo notes that sports associations should, however, make use of government's goodwill on facilitating more sports activities in different disciplines. Makembo adds that the new administration is putting in a lot of resources in the sports associations, hence the need for the beneficiaries to produce good results. More in the following report.
The new administration has made it clear time immemorial that they will provide equal allocation of funds to all sports federations for their local and international engagements. Despite this commitment by government, some associations still came on board lobbying government support. One example is the Zambia Volleyball Association, who could not make it to the Commonwealth Games because of lack of sponsorship.
Participate in the Commonwealth Games because we didn't have sponsorship. We were not sponsored to go for the qualifiers, so it was a bit difficult, challenging for us as an association to go and participate. So we didn't have sponsorship. That's why we failed to participate in the Commonwealth qualifiers.
Fast forward to Thursday, 23rd June 2022, Zambia's Minister of Youth, Sports and Art, Elvis Nkandu, was disappointed that some sports associations were abusing government's goodwill to sponsor athletes to international events.
Our goodwill, something that they were not seeing previously. Now government has come in. First one to appeal to the private sector, entice you so that you continue promoting a sport. But there are also these associations now that wanted to start inflating. In case, for instance, they need a 200 kwacha. Instead of sticking to a 200 kwacha, they are taking advantage of our goodwill now to start inflating the figures.
Nkandu regretted that some sports federations were inflating figures for budgets for international events. The move that made the Zambia Sports Fans Association patron Peter Makembo strongly condemn.
In the sporting arena, much of the time we have seen soccer getting much bigger monies from the government. But at this time, government, I'm a testimony, I've seen government giving hand to these other sports associations. And when they give out, very few may come to you, the media. They normally come to you when they are grieved. But when they get something, they don't come to you. So I've seen such kind of monies going into these associations.
One wonders what is the fate of the Zambia Handball Association in traveling to the Handball Africa Cup scheduled for Egypt, as they await 1.9 million deficit to be cleared. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet Sports, Lusaka.
To end Camnet television main news, we take a look at stories making headlines once again. Another murder incident recorded in Lusaka's KANYAMA compound. Former PF boss Davis MWILA nabbed by the Drug Enforcement Commission. Former Defense Minister MWAMBA fails to appear before the court. In international news, Sudan's civilian bloc rejects army offer and urges more protests. And in sports news, ZASPOFA-PATRON condemns reports of sports associations taking advantage of government. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from the book of Matthew 5, verse 9 to 10. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Thank you so much for watching the news once again. My name is Geoffrey. Bye-bye.